everyone. This morning, we're addressing an issue that's important to every Iowan, and that's water quality. Joining me today are leaders and experts in several areas that support water quality, from farm to faucet, as Secretary Naig likes to say. And that's intentional, because whether it's IDALS, Iowa State University, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, or water treatment plants, each plays a critical role in ensuring Iowans have access to safe drinking water every day. My office and the state legislature also plays an important role, and I'm proud to have all of these groups represented here today. Together, we're all part of the solution, because water quality isn't a farm issue, it isn't a city issue, and it isn't a political issue, but it absolutely is non-negotiable. Everyone here has the same goal, and that's to improve Iowa's water quality. And today, we're announcing a plan that increases the state's water quality investment and reaffirms our strong commitment to working together toward that goal. You've heard me say it many times before, but I think it's worth repeating. The very first bill that I signed as governor was Senate File 512, which was a comprehensive $282 million water quality initiative to support Iowa's nutrient reduction strategy. Through voluntary cost-share programs from ag conservation to urban infrastructure projects, all focused on protecting Iowa's waterways. Since then, it's provided a dedicated and growing revenue source for water quality efforts, and when all state investments are combined with federal matching funds, Iowa spends nearly $600 million every year on water quality initiatives, and that support the nutrient reduction strategy. So this level of long-term investment in targeted strategies that we've deployed statewide make a difference. In a few minutes, I'm going to have Secretary Naig talk about the importance of conservation for nutrient management, the impressive expansion of these practices across the state in recent years, and why continuing this work is fundamental to meeting our goal. He and others will also address the need to consistently review our strategies as this work continues and adapt where necessary as circumstances change, just like we should do with any government program. Today, alongside Secretary Naig and leaders from the House and the Senate, we're announcing a comprehensive legislative package that will revise the way the state water quality investments are distributed to leverage what's working and better reflect today's water quality needs. In short, it shifts money to fund the most urgent needs and the most effective programs. For example, since it was established in 2018, the Water Quality Financing Program through IFA has generated only a few applications, while its balance of available funds has continued to grow. So under the new proposal, that program will end and its funds will be redirected to projects with greater potential impact. Additionally, by adjusting the funding formula, new programs that better meet today's needs will be created and effective existing programs will get a boost. One program being proposed increases funding for water quality monitoring. Iowa Department of Natural Resources has been monitoring and collecting water quality data for more than 25 years following EPA guidance and protocols, will receive an additional $500,000 annually for a total of $3.5 million a year to operate its statewide monitoring program. IFA's Wastewater and Drinking Water Treatment Financial Assistance Program, which I don't know how long they worked on that name, but for heaven's sake, even the acronym is way too long. They will receive more than $184 million over the next 12 years, an increase of $66 million from its current funding level to help communities upgrade water treatment infrastructure. And a new revolving loan fund will be established with a one-time $10 million investment to offer 1% loans that support water quality infrastructure in rural Iowa communities. Finally, I'm pleased to announce a one-time $25 million investment in Central Iowa Waterworks, helping to expand its nitrate removal system with the goal of doubling its capacity over the next 3 years, and work that can now begin this summer. And Secretary Naig has also proposed a plan that he'll be announcing next to support that goal further upstream. This level of partnership is important because today roughly 1 in 5 Iowans get their drinking water from Central Iowa Waterworks. The Regional Water Production Authority, responsible for drinking water treatment, water system planning, and wholesale delivery of water across the Des Moines area, and that's a big job. Des Moines is growing fast, major metro area in the Midwest, increasing nearly 7% since 2020. So as the population grows, demand for water grows, and so must the infrastructure at Central Iowa Waterworks. And as I said in my opening comments, we're all part of the solution and we share the same goal. And this is how we get there together. So now I'd like to invite Secretary Naig to share more about IDOL's targeted strategies to support water quality. Secretary?
Well, thank you, Governor, and good morning. This is National Soil and Water Conservation Week, so I do think it's a fitting time to make this announcement about our approach, our collaborative approach to water quality here in Iowa. And before I do make my formal comments, I do want to just take a minute to express appreciation for the men and women who get up every day, the conservation professionals, certainly on our team at Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship, USDA, NRCS, and FSA, soil and water conservation districts, public and private partners all across the state. People getting up every day, working with farmers, working with landowners and cities to actually get conservation work done. Also, I want to thank our partners, tremendous partners, over 450 different partners who have engaged in actual conservation work in this state, 100 soil and water conservation districts included. We simply cannot do the work that we do in the state of Iowa without partners and without those conservation professionals. So thank you for what you do, and keep up the great work. So clean water is non-negotiable. We stand here today to acknowledge that there is more work that needs to be done to modernize Iowa's water treatment infrastructure in our fields, in our communities, and in our utilities. That requires a commitment from all of us to make meaningful improvements from the farm to the faucet. I'm proud of the work that my team has done at IDOLS, the work that farmers and landowners, our public and private partners have done to date. But there is no finish line when it comes to conservation. And what I mean by that is we should never be satisfied with where we are. We need to continue to advance. Over the past decade, cover crop usage has increased from 40,000 acres to nearly 4 million acres. That's a great start. We need to do more. We initiated more water quality wetlands, nitrate reducing wetlands last year than ever before. We've gone from doing a handful of those projects a year to last year putting out for bid 27 wetlands. We need to do more. We launched a working lands program to convert less productive ground, less productive marginal crop ground into pasture land for cattle. But we have an opportunity to do more. We launched projects to sample soil for nitrogen levels and launched new nutrient management tools at Iowa State University called NFACT to help farmers optimize fertilizer use and reduce loss. But we need to do more. And by the way, optimizing fertilizer use helps save money, improve the environment, and I do have an update just as of this morning on that soil sampling program that we launched just a couple weeks ago. We've already exceeded our initial sign-up goal for soil sampling. So what that tells me is there's tremendous interest in this project, and we're going to continue to do more of that. Scaling up and accelerating our efforts is what we're absolutely focused on. We need to do more. We also know that this work can only happen together. Instead of playing the blame game, instead of dividing Iowans, let's work together. So under this agreement, IDOLS will receive an estimated additional $52 million over 12 years to support programs in the greater Des Moines watershed, which encompasses 22 counties in northwest, north central, and central Iowa. By targeting this region specifically, we can impact both the waters upstream, but also the source waters that ultimately flow into the Central Iowa Waterworks service area. It's important to note, again, $52 million in additional money. That's on top of the nearly $50 million per year that IDOLS invests to support water quality work that's already underway. We're going to use these additional dollars to scale up things that are already proven to be effective. So certainly we think that cover crops, no-till, strip-till, nitrate-reducing wetlands, the working lands program that I mentioned around cattle and conservation, innovative nutrient management planning as well. We're going to work with traditional partners in this effort, but we also expect to and want to seek out new partnerships to work specifically in this region. This package allocates more funding to things that are already working, and it also focuses on the most urgent water quality needs. It also invests in a whole system approach to modernizing our water infrastructure by improving, yes, our water treatment systems, but also being able to work upstream. By doing all of this, it will allow us to better address unpredictable weather patterns and minimize the spikes in nitrate levels like we're currently experiencing. So I certainly want to thank the governor and your team, Governor, and legislators who we have represented here. Thank you so much. Speaker Grassley, Leader Clemish, and my team for the work that's been done over the last couple of weeks to get us to this point. And I also want to give a special note of thanks to Central Iowa Waterworks, Tami Madsen, who you're going to hear from here shortly. Thanks, Tami, to you and your team for the willingness to work in a collaborative, in a productive way to solve problems. And it's such a great opportunity to turn the page and to work in partnership upstream and to work together with Central Iowa Waterworks downstream to address your infrastructure challenges as well. So the bottom line is this package brings a balanced approach that invests more dollars in things that are working and scale up infrastructure from the field to the faucet. So thank you again for being here. Thanks for the great work. We so appreciate it. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Mike, for your leadership and for your longstanding commitment to conservation and to partnering across the entire system to protect Iowa's waterways. Iowa State University is another important partner in ensuring water quality across our state, and I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Michael Castellano, a professor in the Department of Agronomy and lead of the Iowa Nitrogen Initiative, whose research focuses on biogeochemical cycling and transport within the soil. Iowa State is one of the principals in the Iowa Nitrogen Reduction Strategy, Nutrition Reduction Strategy, and the research team. I am so sorry. Sorry. I'm reading it, so there's no reason for that. He has been closely monitoring nitrate levels in the Des Moines and Raccoon River over the last year. So he is here to explain how nitrogen behaves in the soil and what's driving our higher than normal nitrate levels.
Thanks, Kim Reynolds and Secretary Naig for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Iowa State University. I got the jargon, I think, out of the remarks, maybe not the biography. But Iowa State University is committed to advancing science-based solutions that accelerate water quality improvements throughout the state. Nitrate loss is an incredibly complex problem linking our soils, our weather, our water, and agronomic management. Iowa is a world leader in crop production because our soils are rich in nutrients, including nitrogen. Every year, our soils naturally produce large amounts of nitrate that nourish our crops and reduce reliance on fertilizer needs. However, natural nitrate production is not enough to support modern levels of crop yields, and the nitrogen we harvest and grain must be replenished to sustain soil health. As a result, fertilizer remains essential. The challenge is that the amount of nitrate in our soils produce and the amount of nitrate that our crops require varies dramatically from year to year. Although our annual crop system is the primary cause of nitrate losses, weather is the primary driver of year-to-year variability in nitrate losses. Warm and wet conditions increase the soil nitrate production and the amount of fertilizer that our crops require. Warm and wet conditions also increase nitrate losses to our waterways. And that's why wet years, especially following drought years like 2013 and 2025, they elevate nitrate levels. After relatively dry years from 2022 to 2024, a warm and wet growing season in 2025 led to record high soil nitrate production. That's contributed to elevated nitrate levels in 2025, continuing into 2026. This complexity is exactly why Iowa State University is working with IDOLS and many other partners to deploy better solutions faster and more efficiently. These range from infield nitrogen management to edge-of-field infrastructure like denitrification wetlands. The Iowa Nitrogen Initiative is one example. Through partnerships with ag retailers, cooperatives, and agronomists, farmers are voluntarily conducting hundreds of on-farm nitrogen rate experiments each year. Results directly improve how farmers manage nitrogen in the field, and they provide transparent, science-based, and publicly available benchmarks for what responsible nitrogen rates look like. As on-farm data expands through Secretary Naig's soil sampling program, it'll further strengthen our understanding of how nitrogen behaves in the field and how we can improve nitrogen management. With efforts like this and strong partnerships across our organizations and agricultural communities, Iowa can lead in both productivity and meaningful improvements to water quality. Thanks.
And finally, I am pleased to introduce Tami Madsen, Executive Director of Central Iowa Water Works and an experienced leader in the water industry. In the 18 months since she's been on the job, she's led the successful regionalization of the metro area's water utilities, and now oversees a water system that provides Central Iowans with nearly 22 billion gallons of water each year. I greatly admire people who get things done, and Tami seems to be one of those people. Tami, I appreciate again your willingness to work together to address water quality with solutions that work for Iowans. Tami?
Thank you and good morning. We appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to recognize the significant investment in our region's water system. This is a meaningful step in addressing both water demand and treatment needs. CIWW is the regional authority for Central Iowa. Founded in 2024 by 12 urban, suburban, and rural member agencies, we are responsible for ensuring a reliable water supply and treatment of drinking water for more than 600,000 Iowans. Each of our member agencies has a voice in maintaining a robust water system that can meet the challenges and anticipate future needs of our growing area. We work together to strategically plan for new and expanded treatment facilities to provide safe drinking water for today and for the future. Today's announcement is a comprehensive step forward in addressing future needs together. It's also important to stress comments made today by the Governor, Secretary, and Iowa State partners. These investments impact all fellow Iowans, statewide, upstream, and downstream. We work with multiple organizations to find solutions to manage water needs. Upstream and downstream partners, engineers, technical experts, elected officials, and so many who are committed to protecting this most precious of resources. This effort reflects that coordination and is one part of a broader ongoing approach. Today is proof that we indeed are stronger together. CIWW will evaluate how best to employ this investment. Based on current timelines, work is expected to proceed over the coming years with a meaningful increase in nitrate removal capacity anticipated within approximately 3 years of construction. As engineering work continues, we will determine the appropriate approach, including options such as treatment vessels or reverse osmosis, with the goal of substantially increasing removal capacity. Expanding treatment capacity will reduce operational strain that can come from variability in weather impacts and improve system performance, particularly during peak demand periods. It also positions us to accommodate continued population growth in Central Iowa without compromising reliability, so we can maintain our impressive rankings as one of the best places to live in the United States. CIWW and our member agencies are currently expanding 2 water treatment plants and planning for the construction of a 3rd. These plants, combined with a robust capital improvements plan over the next 2 decades, are practical steps that strengthen system planning and improve resilience across our member communities together. I really cannot thank Secretary Naig enough for his leadership and partnership on this important work, and to Governor Reynolds for her attention to this dynamic and complex challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Tami. I know I'm speaking for everyone here when I say how grateful we are again for the partnership with you in this critical project. I also want to thank the legislators who have been instrumental in moving this proposal along. And you know, when you think about it, we're in the final days of the legislative session. So to be able to put this together, find agreement, and move forward with it, I think it speaks to the background that's been done on it, and I think it speaks to the desire of everyone to work together to see something done as soon as we can. So I know that it's a great example again of how we can all work together and effectuate change that has a meaningful impact for Iowa. So again, thank you for being here today and for being part of the solution. And I think with that, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
Secretary Naig, you were meeting with legislators this week to build support and to kind of figure out the specifics of all of this. The 25 million on the back end here to help in central Iowa, what will make that, is there anything kind of in the big picture that will make that eventually unnecessary?
I think
on the
that,
front end?
so the point of this, it's comprehensive, it's a balanced approach that accomplishes multiple things here, right? And you've heard about, this is a growing metropolitan area. There will be increasing needs to treat water and increasing capacity. So that's just reality. And I think that's honestly, we just need to think about that. It's comprehensive, and this is a realistic approach to actually addressing the types of things that are most pressing here. So we've said all along, you really do need to work on both ends of this spectrum. We have to modernize treatment infrastructure, and we need to be doing more in the watershed. Those things can happen together. It is not one or the other. But I think it's not unreasonable to expect that when you've got a growing metro area with increased water usage, you're going to need to increase treatment. The other thing, as Dr. Castellano mentioned, is that in the midst of that, right, you have this weather variability that, and a lot of this is the unique positioning of where Des Moines sits in the world with the Des Moines load, with the fact that North Raccoon and Des Moines are source water, surface water is source water in the Des Moines metro area, and so you're going to have to deal with that variability that's weather driven, and that doesn't, and that needs to be accomplished by working comprehensively up and down the watershed. I think it's also critically important to recognize there's balance in this plan in that it also addresses what's happening here in central Iowa, but also as we travel the state, I know as we visited with legislators, the governor and I both hear this all the time when we're in communities of all sizes across the state around the expense of drinking water treatment, stormwater management, wastewater treatment, and so to couple all of this watershed work and the Central Iowa Water Works piece with a significant investment in grants and loan availability for communities of all sizes is also worth noting. I mean, this is a statewide solution here. So again, comprehensive in nature, dealing with the most pressing challenges that we see.
Governor, how many rural communities do you expect to be taking advantage of the revolving loan and things like that to upgrade their infrastructure?
Well, I can give you a list that already have, and as we looked through with the existing loan, we're increasing the amount and adding the infrastructure loan on top of that. So one will be a grant program, the other will be a revolving loan at 1% interest. As the secretary indicated, there's a tremendous amount of interest out there, and we can give you the list of rural projects that have already qualified, and I think that will indicate the interest in being able to utilize the funds. And then on top of that, we have SRF as well. So those are 4 separate buckets that these communities can utilize to help upgrade their water treatment systems. And there is, as I said, you all hear it, you've got legislators that are up there too, and I think that's one of the reasons the legislature was so determined to even set up the additional infrastructure fund, so we can even make sure that we're meeting that need and invite making available funds to help and get that done, because it is a tremendous expense. And hopefully that'll get better as we utilize technology, to your point, Secretary, and learn how we can do this even better. Hopefully some of those innovative ideas will start to bring down the cost to standing up these systems.
Governor, there are some other areas of the state that also have rivers with high nitrate levels, not just the Des Moines and Raccoon. Are there conversations happening about ways to level up, scale up the infrastructure for those systems as well? Not just central
I
Iowa.
thought the Secretary had laid out his comprehensive plan, and I can have him go through it again, but he'd be happy to give you a list of all of the programs that he's making available, and it's not just central Iowa. You know, what did it say? 1 in 5 Iowans get their drinking water from Central Iowa Water Works, and so that's a huge capacity issue right there. I think Tami talked about, you know, a process, a plan that they have in place. With the 25 million, we're hoping we can just bump the capacity here. We can impact that timeline a little bit more by allocating that $25 million. And so hopefully in 2 to 3 years, we'll start to see some relief here. But they have a plan in place to really deal with the growing population and the infrastructure needs. So they've been very thoughtful in laying that out, and they're ready to move forward with that. And I think the Secretary Naig and Iowa Department of Natural Resources work well with farmers and communities. You can talk about watershed programs that you want that are being utilized, or anything you want to add to that. But I think, you know, we laid out, is there anything you want to of extensively in his remarks, all the programs that they're looking at. I think, again, what we did with this is we took a look at some programming that was started in 2018 when we first passed the Water Quality Initiative. And we took a look at the data, what's working, what's not working, how can we reallocate those funds and maybe even add some additional funds to programs where we're really seeing some significant progress. And again, innovation and technology is gonna continue to play into all of the things that we're doing as well, so it's exciting.
Was wondering if you could elaborate on the source of funding for these additional investments. Is this just shifting money, just shifting current pools of funding elsewhere, like specifically for water quality monitoring? Is that being shifted from somewhere else?
That was part of the existing program, but in addition to reallocating some of those funds, like I mentioned, the program that we had stood up that really hardly anybody had used, we're reallocating those funds. We're adding additional $500,000 into the sensors, so that'll be about $3.5 million annually. That will go to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. And then, as we work through the negotiation, the legislature, along with the secretary in my office, recommended that we do a one-time funding from RIF for $8 million that will go to the, that is for grants for wastewater and drinking water infrastructure projects. And then they also created a new rural Iowa infrastructure bank, we did with this bill, that will create a revolving loan fund with financing available again for small to medium-sized communities, and the loan rate on that would be 1%. So new money invested, as well as reappropriating existing dollars into programs that are actually working. And we should continue to reevaluate that, and we will as we work with Iowa State, and as you add the new programs, we're gonna continue to look for areas that's working and what's not working and adjust.
For Tami, can you level set a little bit about what this will mean for Central Iowa Water Works' ability to treat nitrates, in the next couple of years as this expanded capacity gets online? Like, could we see in the meantime another long watering ban or anything like that?
I appreciate the question. This will be really consequential for us to be able to expand our nitrate removal facility as we continue with our other capital improvement program infrastructure that we're building. For now, we're just continuing to monitor the situation and the weather patterns. We do plan to address this question Monday at a press conference, what we're seeing with the weather and how we're anticipating handling this summer. Thank you.
We'll take one more question, please.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, for the water quality financing that exists right now, would programs that are currently using that funding still be able to qualify, or what additional measures are you putting on that shift in funding?
I think they're pretty much the same, right? Yeah.
Well, again, to the governor's point, what we're largely doing here is reallocating dollars to programs that are working. So, and the fact that, as Governor mentioned, this is taking that initial framework of what was Senate File 512 then back in 2018. That was the first time that we had comprehensive, predictable funding for water quality in the state of Iowa, laid out these buckets, if you will, these programs. And so truly taking dollars that were in a fund that were not being utilized, to their fullest extent, and reallocating them. So really, the concepts are very much the same, very much existing. We continue, the grants to small and mid-sized communities is something that has been well used, and in fact, significant demand, so much so that it makes sense to put more dollars into that, increase the cap, and just simply do more. Legislature then, with the intent of saying, let's also layer on a loan program for that. So, what this is building out, and the options are important for communities. You can make use of federal dollars, you can make use of a revolving loan, the state revolving loan fund. Now there's additional opportunities here with higher caps to be able to put all this together. Communities have to work to try to layer in their financing, and this is just giving them more options. And a significant investment over the next 12 years.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Want to